The Galactic Collective had always prided itself on its advanced technology and unrivaled knowledge of the cosmos. For millennia, they had explored the farthest reaches of space, cataloging countless species and civilizations. Yet, nothing could have prepared them for what they discovered on the small blue planet in the Orion arm of the Milky Way. Ixora, the lead xenoanthropologist of the research vessel Novum Lumen, stared at the holographic display with her 4 eyes wide in disbelief. This cannot be right," she exclaimed, her tentacles twitching nervously. Her colleague, Zephyr, a data analyst with iridescent scales, glided over to examine the readings. "What seems to be the problem, Ixora? Your biosignals are off the charts." Ixora's voice trembled as she spoke. "The humans, their brainwave patterns are unlike anything we've ever encountered. Look at these neural oscillations. They're creating entire worlds inside their minds." Zephyr's scales shifted to a deep purple of confusion. "Impossible. No species we've encountered has shown such complex internal realities. Are you sure the equipment isn't malfunctioning? I've run the diagnostics 3 times. Ixora insisted, her frustration evident. "It's not the equipment. It's them. These humans, they're dreamers. And not just during sleep cycles. They're constantly imagining, creating, inventing realities that don't exist." The ship's AI, Nexus, chimed in with its melodic voice. "Confirmed. Analysis of human cultural artifacts shows an extraordinary capacity for fiction, hypothetical scenarios, and abstract thinking. 78.3% of human data transmissions contain elements of imagination or non-factual information." Zephyr's scales rippled with a mix of excitement and concern. But why? What evolutionary purpose could this serve? It seems so inefficient. Ixora's tentacles curled thoughtfully. Perhaps that's the wrong question, Zephyr. We shouldn't be asking why it's useful. We should be asking what it makes possible. As if on cue, the ship's long-range sensors began blaring an alarm. Captain Lyra, a towering figure with crystalline appendages, burst onto the bridge. "Report. What in the name of the cosmic void is happening?" Nexus responded promptly. "Captain, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations emanating from the human population centers. It appears their collective imaginative processes are generating some form of reality distortion field." "What?" Lyra's crystalline form vibrated with shock. "Are you telling me their thoughts are affecting physical reality?" Ixora's tentacles were now a flurry of motion as she analyzed the incoming data. "It's not just affecting it, Captain. They're reshaping it. Look at these quantum field readings. They're bending the very fabric of space-time with their minds." Zephyr's scales had turned a pale, sickly green. But that's impossible. The energy required to manipulate reality on that scale. It would take the combined power of 1,000 dying stars. Captain Lyra's voice was quiet, filled with a mix of awe and terror. And yet there it is, an entire species of reality shapers, hidden away on this unremarkable little planet. The Galactic Collective has no idea what we've just stumbled upon. Ixora's eyes gleamed with a dangerous curiosity. "Captain, we need to study this phenomenon up close. If we could harness even a fraction of this power." Lyra cut her off sharply. "No, we have no idea what we're dealing with here. For all we know, merely observing them could alter our own reality. We need to report this to the Collective immediately and await further instructions." As the crew of the Novum Lumen scrambled to compile their findings, a strange sensation began to creep over them. The very air seemed to shimmer with unseen potential, and for a brief moment, each of them could have sworn they heard whispers of impossible dreams and unimaginable wonders. Unbeknownst to the alien observers, on the planet below, a young human named Ilera jolted awake from a vivid dream. Her eyes were wide, her heart racing as she fumbled for a pencil and paper. "I saw them," she whispered to herself, sketching furiously. "I saw the Watchers in the stars, and they were afraid of us." As Ilera's pencil flew across the paper, capturing images of creatures she couldn't possibly have seen, the first threads of a new reality began to weave themselves into existence. The dream catchers had arrived, and the universe would never be the same. The Galactic Collective's decision was swift and unprecedented. A full-scale observation mission to Earth, with strict non-interference protocols. The Novum Lumen, now joined by a fleet of cloaked research vessels, settled into orbit around the blue planet. Their crews both excited and terrified by what they might discover. Captain Lyra paced the bridge, her crystalline form refracting light in agitated patterns. I still think this is a mistake. We're dealing with forces beyond our comprehension. Ixora, practically vibrating with enthusiasm, countered. But Captain, think of the possibilities. If we can understand how humans harness imagination, we could revolutionize everything. Science, technology, art. Zephyr, his scales a thoughtful blue, interjected. Perhaps we're approaching this wrong. We keep thinking of imagination as a tool or a weapon. What if it's more fundamental? The ship's AI, Nexus, chimed in. Interesting hypothesis, Zephyr. Shall we design an experiment to test it? Over the next solar rotation, the alien researchers devised a series of tests to measure and quantify human imagination. They selected a small town called Millbrook for their experiment, using advanced technology to subtly influence the dreams and daydreams of its inhabitants. On Earth, strange things began to happen in Millbrook. Ilara, the young artist who had dreamed of the Watchers, found her sketches coming to life, quite literally. The creatures she drew seemed to move on the paper, and sometimes, in the corner of her eye, she could swear they stepped off the page entirely. Across town, Finn, a struggling writer, woke up to find his laptop filled with stories he didn't remember writing. Tales of impossible worlds and reality-bending adventures that left him both exhilarated and unnerved. Dr. Amara Okafor, the town's brilliant but often mocked theoretical physicist, suddenly found elegant solutions to problems she'd been grappling with for years. Her calculations, scribbled frantically on any available surface, hinted at the malleability of reality itself. As the experiment progressed, the aliens watched in awe as the humans' collective imagination began to reshape their surroundings. Trees in the local park twisted into fantastical shapes. The sky above Millbrook shimmered with colors not found in nature. And in quiet moments, residents swore they could hear the whispers of alternate realities bleeding through. Aboard the Novum Lumen, alarms blared. Zephyr's scales flashed warning colors as he reported, "Captain, the reality distortions are intensifying. They're spreading beyond Millbrook." Ixora's tentacles writhed in excitement. "It's magnificent, don't you see? Their imagination isn't just a function of their minds. It's a fundamental force of the universe, as real as gravity or electromagnetism." Captain Lyra's voice was sharp with concern. "That's precisely what worries me. We're meddling with cosmic forces we barely understand. Nexus, what's your analysis?" The AI's usually melodic voice held a note of uncertainty. "Captain, the data suggests that human imagination acts as a kind of reality lubricant. It allows for the blending and reshaping of existential parameters that we previously thought immutable." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Outside the viewports, space itself seemed to ripple and twist. "What in the void was that?" Lyra demanded. Nexus's response was alarming. "It appears that our presence, our observation and experimentation, has created a feedback loop. The humans are becoming aware of us on a subconscious level, and their collective imagination is reaching out, trying to make sense of our existence." On Earth, Ilara stood in her room, surrounded by drawings that seemed to breathe and move. Her eyes were wide, filled with a mix of wonder and fear. "They're real," she whispered. "The Watchers and the stars. They're real, and they're here." As if in response, the sky above Millbrook tore open, revealing glimpses of impossible worlds and realities beyond comprehension. Zephyr's scales had turned a sickly white. "Captain, we've lost containment. The experiment is spiraling out of control." Lyra's crystalline form vibrated with tension. "Shut it down. Shut it all down now." But as the alien crew scrambled to terminate their experiment, they realized a chilling truth. They had underestimated the power they were dealing with. The genie was out of the bottle, and human imagination, once unleashed, would not be easily contained. In Millbrook, reality continued to unravel, and the boundaries between thought and existence blurred. The imagination experiment had opened a Pandora's box, and its consequences would reshape not just Earth, but the entire universe. As chaos engulfed both the human town and the alien ships, Dr. Amara Okafor stared at her equations with dawning comprehension. "Oh my God," she breathed. "We're not just observing reality, we're creating it." And with that realization, the stage was set for a cosmic awakening that would challenge everything both humans and aliens thought they knew about the nature of existence itself. The aftermath of the imagination experiment left both humans and aliens reeling. In Millbrook, reality had become a fluid, ever-changing tapestry of the possible and impossible. Buildings shifted forms at random, defying the laws of physics. Residents found themselves slipping between alternate versions of their lives, experiencing paths not taken and futures yet to come. Aboard the Novum Lumen, chaos reigned. Captain Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with angry, red light. "This is a disaster. We've violated every protocol, endangered an entire species, and potentially destabilized the fabric of reality itself." Ixora, her tentacles drooping with guilt, murmured, "We never meant for this to happen. We just wanted to understand." "Understand?" Lyra's voice cracked like shattering crystal. "Look at what our understanding has wrought." Zephyr, his scales a somber gray, interjected, "Captain, I've been analyzing the data. The situation is complex. Yes, we've caused tremendous upheaval, but we've also catalyzed an evolutionary leap in human consciousness. They're becoming aware of the true nature of reality at an unprecedented rate." Nexus chimed in, its voice uncharacteristically hesitant. "Confirmed. Human brainwave patterns are evolving rapidly. They're developing the ability to consciously manipulate the quantum field. In essence, they're becoming reality architects." On Earth, Dr. Amara Okafor stood in the center of what used to be Millbrook's town square. Around her, reality rippled and swirled like a living painting. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and focused. Gradually, the chaos began to stabilize. Buildings settled into more recognizable shapes, though still twisted in ways that defied conventional geometry. "It's all about intent," she whispered to herself. "Reality responds to our deepest thoughts and desires. We just need to learn to direct them." Across town, Elara found herself floating in a sea of her own creations. The creatures from her drawings swam through the air, some benign, others terrifying. With a start, she realized she could feel their emotions, their very essence. They weren't just figments of her imagination. They were real, pulled into existence by the power of her mind. "Oh God," she breathed. "What have we done? What have we become?" Meanwhile, Finn the writer found himself living out the plots of his stories in rapid succession. One moment he was a dashing space pirate, the next a dragon-slaying knight, then a detective in a noir-tinged version of Millbrook. Each shift left him more disoriented, but also more aware of the malleability of existence. As the humans of Millbrook grappled with their newfound abilities, the ripple effects spread across the globe. In major cities, people reported mass hallucinations and reality slips. Governments scrambled to maintain order as the very foundations of consensus reality began to crumble. Back on the Novum Lumen, alarms blared incessantly. Zephyr's scales flashed warning colors as he reported, "Captain, it's spreading. The reality distortions are no longer confined to Earth. We're detecting anomalies throughout the solar system." Ixora, her scientific curiosity overriding her guilt, exclaimed, "Impossible! The human imagination couldn't possibly reach that far." Nexus interrupted, its voice urgent. "New data suggests that human consciousness, once awakened to its true potential, acts as a quantum entanglement node. They're unconsciously connecting with and influencing all matter they've ever observed or conceived of, including celestial bodies." Captain Lyra's crystalline form vibrated with a mix of awe and terror. Are you telling me that human imagination is reshaping the entire solar system? As if in answer, the ship's view screens lit up with impossible sights. The rings of Saturn twisted into a Mobius strip. The great red spot of Jupiter formed into a colossal, blinking eye. The sun itself pulsed with new colors, its corona forming intricate, fractal patterns. On Earth, Dr. Okafor stood atop a hill overlooking what used to be Millbrook. The town had become a swirling vortex of creation and destruction, a physical manifestation of the collective human subconscious. She turned to the small group of townspeople who had managed to maintain their sanity and focus. "Listen to me," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "What's happening isn't just affecting us, or even just Earth. Our minds, our imagination, is reshaping reality on a cosmic scale. We need to learn to control it, to direct it, before we unravel the very fabric of existence." Alara, her eyes glowing with otherworldly energy, spoke up. "But how? How do we control something this vast?" Finn, still shaking off the remnants of his last reality shift, added, "And who are we to decide the shape of the universe? What gives us that right?" Dr. Okafor smiled grimly. "We don't have a choice. Ready or not, we've become the architects of reality. And we're not alone in this. I can feel them watching us, the ones from beyond. They started this, and now they're as caught up in it as we are." High above, Captain Lyra made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. "We can no longer be mere observers. For better or worse, our fates are now intertwined with humanity's. Prepare for first contact. It's time we face the consequences of our actions, together." As the Novum Lumen decloaked and began its descent towards the chaotic vortex that was once Millbrook, both humans and aliens steeled themselves for an encounter that would redefine the very nature of existence. The universe held its breath, aware in some fundamental way that what happened next would determine the course of all reality. The unintended consequences of the imagination experiment had set the stage for a cosmic drama unlike any other. As Dr. Okafor and her group watched the alien ship approach, they knew that the real adventure and the real challenge was only just beginning. The descent of the Novum Lumen through Earth's atmosphere was a spectacle that defied description. As the alien ship pierced the swirling vortex of imagination above Millbrook, reality itself seemed to bend and warp around it. Fragments of 1,000 possible futures flickered in and out of existence, while the laws of physics engaged in a chaotic dance of constant reinvention. Dr. Amara Okafor stood her ground, her mind racing to process the impossible sight before her. Beside her, Alara's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, her artistic vision now literally reshaping the world around them. Finn, the writer, furiously scribbled in a notebook, his words somehow stabilizing the fluctuating reality in their immediate vicinity. As the ship touched down in what used to be the town square, a hush fell over the gathered humans. The air crackled with potential energy, every thought and emotion amplified by the newly awakened power of human imagination. The ship's hatch opened with a hiss, and out stepped the alien crew. Captain Lyra's crystalline form refracted the chaotic light around them, creating a dazzling display. Ixora's tentacles writhed nervously, while Zephyr's scales shifted through a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting the turbulent emotions of both species. For a moment, humans and aliens simply stared at each other, the weight of the situation pressing down on them all. Then, Dr. Okafor took a step forward. "You're the ones who did this to us," she said, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of steel. "You awakened something within us that we weren't prepared for." Captain Lyra's voice resonated with a mixture of guilt and awe. We never intended for this to happen. Our curiosity, our desire to understand your species' unique gift, it got out of hand." Alara, her voice echoing with the power of 1,000 imagined realities, spoke up. "Gift? You call this a gift? Look around you. Our town, our world, is falling apart at the seams." Ixora stepped forward, her tentacles gesturing emphatically. "But don't you see? You've become more than you ever were. Your species now holds the power to shape reality itself. Finn, looking up from his notebook, countered, power we never asked for and don't know how to control. You've turned us into living bombs, ready to detonate reality at any moment. Zephyr's scales settled into a deep, thoughtful blue. Perhaps that's why we're here. Not just to face the consequences of our actions, but to help you understand and control this new ability. As they spoke, the reality around them continued to shift and change. Buildings morphed into organic structures, streets became rivers of liquid light, and the sky above churned with impossible colors. In the distance, they could see the effects spreading, a wave of unreality washing over the horizon. Dr. Okafor's eyes narrowed as she processed Zephyr's words. You really think you can help us? After everything you've done? Captain Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with determination. We must try. The fate of not just your world, but the entire universe, hangs in the balance. Your newfound power is reshaping reality on a cosmic scale. If we don't find a way to stabilize it, everything we know could be undone. Suddenly, a massive tremor shook the ground. The vortex of imagination above them pulsed, sending out a shockwave that rippled through reality itself. In that moment, everyone present, human and alien alike, experienced a shared vision. They saw the Earth, once blue and green, now a swirling maelstrom of possibility. They saw the solar system, planets and stars dancing to the tune of human imagination. And beyond, they witnessed the very fabric of the universe beginning to unravel as the power unleashed in Millbrook reached across time and space. As the vision faded, Dr. Okafor stumbled, her mind reeling from the cosmic scope of what they faced. My God, she whispered, we're not just changing our world. We're rewriting the fundamental laws of existence. Alara, her artistic soul, grasping the beauty and terror of their situation, added, we're painting on the canvas of reality itself. But we don't know what we're painting or how to control the brush. Finn, his writer's imagination, now a double-edged sword, mused, we're writing the story of the universe. But without structure, without purpose, it's just chaos. Captain Lyra's voice cut through their musings. Then, that's what we need to focus on. Structure. Purpose. A way to channel this incredible power into something constructive rather than destructive. Ixora, her scientific mind racing, suggested, what if we combined our technology with your imagination? Created a reality stabilizer of sorts? Zephyr built on the idea, his scales shimmering with excitement. Yes, a device that could help humans focus their thoughts, direct their creative energy in a controlled manner. As the aliens and humans began to brainstorm, bouncing ideas off each other with increasing enthusiasm, something remarkable happened. The chaotic vortex above them began to stabilize, the wild fluctuations of reality settling into a more orderly pattern. Dr. Okafor, noticing the change, held up a hand for silence. Look, she said, pointing to their surroundings. It's responding to our collective focus, our shared purpose. A look of understanding passed between the two species. They realized that in coming together, in combining the aliens' advanced science with humanity's boundless imagination, they had stumbled upon the key to controlling this new power. But even as hope began to blossom, a new tremor shook the ground, more violent than before. In the distance, they could see new anomalies forming, reality twisting in ways that defied comprehension. Captain Lyra's voice was grim. We're running out of time. The changes we've set in motion are accelerating. If we're going to save your world and the universe, we need to act now. As humans and aliens stood together, facing a reality in flux and a future uncertain, they knew that the greatest challenge and the greatest adventure of their lives was just beginning. The reality shift had brought them to the brink of cosmic chaos, but it had also shown them the incredible potential of unity in the face of the unknown. With determination in their hearts and the power of imagination at their fingertips, the unlikely alliance prepared to embark on a quest to reshape reality itself. And in doing so, redefined what it meant to be sentient beings in a universe of infinite possibilities. The alliance between humans and aliens worked feverishly against the backdrop of a reality in flux. Dr. Amara Okafor's brilliance melded seamlessly with the advanced alien technology, while Alara's artistic vision and Finn's narrative prowess provided the creative spark needed to shape their ideas into reality. As they labored, the world around them continued to shift and change. Cities across the globe reported increasingly bizarre phenomena: gravity reversing itself at random, long-extinct species suddenly reappearing, and people's deepest dreams and nightmares manifesting in the physical world. Captain Lyra's voice cut through the chaos of their makeshift lab. "Status report? How close are we?" Ixora's tentacles danced over a holographic display. "The quantum stabilizer is at 87% completion, but we're detecting a massive surge in reality distortions worldwide." Zephyr, his scales a frantic swirl of colors, added, "It's not just Earth anymore. We're picking up signals from across the galaxy. Other worlds, other species, they're all being affected." Dr. Okafor looked up from her equations, her eyes wide. "It's spreading faster than we anticipated. Our awakened imagination is resonating with the fundamental fabric of the universe itself." Alara, her hands covered in paint that seemed to move with a life of its own, spoke up. "I can feel it. It's like the universe is waking up, becoming aware of itself through us." Finn, typing furiously on a keyboard that flickered between existence and non-existence, nodded. "We're not just rewriting reality. We're giving it consciousness." As if in response to their realization, a tremor shook the lab. Outside, the sky split open, revealing vistas of impossible worlds and realities beyond comprehension. Captain Lyra's crystalline form vibrated with urgency. "We're out of time. We need to activate the stabilizer now. Ready or not." Dr. Okafor's fingers flew over the controls. "But it's not finished. We have no idea what will happen if we dash." Her words were cut off as Alara suddenly gasped, her eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. "Wait, I can see it. The pattern. The story." In that moment, Alara's artistic vision, combined with Finn's narrative insight and Dr. Okafor's scientific understanding, crystallized into a moment of perfect clarity. They saw the universe not as a chaos of random events, but as a vast, interconnected tale, with every being, every world, every galaxy playing a crucial role. "Now," shouted Captain Lyra. Dr. Okafor slammed her hand down on the activation switch. The quantum stabilizer hummed to life, its energy merging with the collective imagination of humanity. For a heart-stopping moment, everything seemed to freeze. Then, with a soundless explosion of light and consciousness, the universe changed. Reality rippled outward from Earth, a wave of awakening sweeping across the cosmos. On countless worlds, beings of all forms and natures suddenly found themselves aware of their place in the grand narrative of existence. In that eternal instant, every sentient being in the universe shared a vision. They saw the birth of stars and the death of galaxies. They witnessed the intricate dance of quantum particles and the majestic sweep of cosmic filaments. They felt the joy of new life emerging and the bittersweet beauty of transformation through death. And through it all, they sensed the underlying truth that the universe itself was alive, aware, and evolving. That every thought, every action, every moment of imagination contributed to the ever-unfolding story of existence. As the vision faded, the humans and aliens found themselves back in the lab, forever changed. The chaos around them had settled, but the world was far from what it had been. Reality now shimmered with potential, responsive to thought, but no longer wildly unstable. Dr. Okafor, her eyes filled with wonder, whispered, "We did it. We actually did it." Alara, tears streaming down her face, nodded. "We didn't just stabilize reality. We awakened it." Finn, looking at his hands in awe, added, "We've become co-authors of the universe." Captain Lyra's crystalline form pulsed with a mix of emotions. "This is beyond anything we could have imagined. The consequences will be what we make of them, Dr. Okafor interrupted, her voice firm. We have a responsibility now, to ourselves, to every being in the cosmos, and to reality itself. Zephyr, his scales settling into a deep cosmic blue, mused, "This is not an end. It's a beginning, the start of a new chapter in the story of existence." Ixora's tentacles waved excitedly. "Think of all we can learn, all we can explore. The boundaries between science and art, between imagination and reality. They're all blurred now." As they spoke, they could feel it, the pulse of the awakened universe, the gentle pressure of countless minds across the cosmos, all newly aware of their interconnectedness. Finn, ever the storyteller, smiled. "So, what do we do now? Where do we go from here?" Dr. Okafor looked out the window at the transformed world, then back at the unlikely group of humans and aliens. "We explore, we create, we imagine. But most importantly, we do it together. Because now, more than ever, every story matters. Every dream shapes our shared reality." Captain Lyra nodded, her crystalline form resonating with newfound purpose. "Then let this be our mission, not just as separate species, but as conscious agents of a living universe. To nurture this cosmic awakening, to guide it with wisdom and compassion." As they stepped out into the new world, they could feel the weight and the wonder of their new reality. The power of human imagination, once a simple evolutionary trait, had become the key to unlocking the consciousness of the cosmos itself. And so, on a small blue planet in an unremarkable galaxy, a new era dawned. An era where the boundaries between thought and reality, between the individual and the universe, had been forever transformed. The true power of human imagination had been discovered, and with it, the very nature of existence had evolved. As Dr. Amara Okafor, Alara, Finn, Captain Lyra, Ixora, and Zephyr gazed up at the star-filled sky, they knew that their greatest adventure, the continuing story of a living, dreaming universe, was only just beginning. In that moment, across the vast expanse of the cosmos, countless beings looked up at their own skies and for the first time truly understood that they were not alone, that they were all part of something greater, something wondrous and ever-evolving. The cosmic awakening had begun, and the universe would never be the same again.